That video is from the creative team at Six Ways from Sunday. Their first video, not counting all of the brilliant work previously done by Andrea, which we saw just a few minutes before. So has your day gone perfect so far? My day has not gone perfect, as you can tell. I missed a whole bunch of stuff around the candle lighting. Kids are kind of crazy. Stuff is happening. Right? Then we had to start the video a second time. Stuff happens. Do you care? No. That's because it's a Sunday of love. That's why all the craziness is happening. Well, it could be also that it's Christmas Eve. But the thing is, when the creative team was putting that video together, something came up, which was, what do you mean when you say love? What is love? What is it? How do you, what direction are we going in with that? And in the little video that Andrea did with the kids there, they said they said lots of really wise things, but they said two really wise things in particular. That's a weird question, and I don't know. That is the correct answer to what is love, by the way. Either of those works. But here's why. And that's why I forget who actually said, I don't know. But that is a whole lot of wisdom, and here's why. If I ask you what is love, feel free to say, I don't know exactly, because you probably don't. Because what you're thinking is, why is he asking that question? What's the right answer in that? Wait, there's got to, okay. And then if somebody different asks you that question, you're going to think the same thing. Why are they asking that question? What does that mean? Like, if I ask you that question, you think I'm expecting you to say, well, Jesus said we should love one another as I have loved you. And so obviously love is to live as Jesus. Good answer. It's not right, but that's a good answer. It's a good answer. If your spouse asks you, what is love? It better involve presents, you making dinner, maybe doing the dishes afterwards too, stuff like that, right? It's who's asking the question and the context in which you find yourself. That's how we frame it. That's why a little kid saying, I don't know, is such a brilliant answer. Because they probably don't, because we haven't framed it for them yet. But they do know what it is. The moment somebody first holds you, you know what love is. The moment somebody first wraps you up in a warm, fuzzy blanket, you know what love is. You know what it is. From the moment you're born, you know what it is. You do. And then we ruin it for you. Because we put all sorts of frameworks on it, and we put all sorts of context on it. And we start to go, well, it's this, and it's this, or it could be this, but it's probably this. It is all those things, sure. But that's the problem with the question. And that's the problem with how we answer it too, is we try and say, well, it's this, and we fit it into a nice tidy little cubbyhole or a nice little box, and that's what it is. Except it isn't, because it's huge. And that was our problem when we were talking about it with this video, is how do you say, just be love to people? How do you say, love does? What exactly? Because we want a what exactly answer. We want to know how that's working right now in this context. What is it? If I say to you today, go out and love, you'll want to know specifically how you should do that. And some of you might want to know specifically how you should do that, because what if I get it wrong? Some people might want to know how to do it because I need some focus, I need some detail, I need to know the steps to go through that, to make it happen. There's all sorts of different reasons, and by the way, they're all perfectly legitimate and good reasons, except the one about what if I get it wrong, because you can't do love wrong. But we have to have it like that. We can't just kind of go and be love to people. Because, who can do that? Well, you. And we have examples. We have all sorts of examples. Well, we have Jesus. There's a really good example. What about people like Desmond Tutu or the Dalai Lama, who was quoted at the beginning of the video there? What about all the people who were in that video? Right? You watch that video and you might actually recognize some people in that video. You might not. You might say be in that video and think, hey, I look good. You might want to watch it again and again because there's so much in it that's worthwhile. And especially at the end where the things sort of flash on the screen there, you might want to watch that a couple of times so you can get all of those because it goes by pretty quick. You might want to watch it again because you're in it. There are lots of reasons why you might want to watch that. Or you might not. Perspective. It's perspective. Right? It's what's your perspective here? And if you're the giver of love, that's a different perspective than the receiver of love. Everybody likes to receive love, right? You want to be loved. No one's going to say no to that, really? Because there are moments when you think to yourself, no, okay. Like say you're not a hugger. I am a hugger, by the way. But say you're not, and somebody comes in for a big one, and you're going like. I only did it to you once, Fern. Might have been more than once, actually. But, sometimes we feel awkward about the receiving of it, too, right? Sometimes we feel awkward when somebody shows love to us, and whether it's we feel like we don't deserve it or we just feel kind of awkward in the moment, it's funny we're funny about it. But we're funny about giving it, too. This is a thing about, we read the Gospels and you read all the stories about Jesus and you read everything everybody says about Jesus. Well, Jesus did this and Jesus did this. And of course, love one another as I have loved you. It's pretty clear. Jesus wants us to love each other the way Jesus showed us we should love each other. With care and compassion and all of that other really cool stuff that Jesus did because Jesus, and I'll never be able to do all of that because I'm not. Yes, you are, first of all. Secondly, when you read all of that through the Bible, through the Gospels, how often do you come across a story where Jesus says something like, say, you should love the poor and care for them. And somebody goes, what? I think they should just go and get a job. For crying out loud. What? They're just being lazy, the poor. They should just go. Do you ever read those stories? No, you don't. Do you think it's because it never happened? Of course it happened. That's the thing, we never read the stories where Jesus says something deeply profound and we go, ooh, that's deeply profound because we're reading it now. But in the moment, in that story, Jesus probably said something deeply profound and somebody went, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and walked away. Or, better still, somebody stayed and argued with Jesus about it. Or, better than that even, somebody said, what exactly do you mean by that? That's the part of the kind of story that I like to imagine, is that Jesus said something really profound and meaningful, and somebody said, I don't really understand exactly. Can you say more? And can you define for me the steps that I would take in order to make that happen? So that Jesus could then go, yes, it's very simple, just go and love people. But I need the steps. I need like 1, 2, 3, like however 5,000 steps it takes to do that. Yes, it's very simple, go and love. We take that love and we frame it. By our experiences, by how we live, we frame it. And then it has expectations, too. Right? And not just the expectations of what we expect in terms of love, but what we expect in terms of how we might love others and how we might be rewarded for that. There is no reward part, by the way. We should love because love is... Well, see, here's the thing. No, with all due respect to Lin-Manuel Miranda and the video, love is love is love. But, yes, but... we always respond to that with, we hear it and we go, oh, that's beautiful, that's wonderful. In the back of your mind, you're going, I don't know. Is it, though? Is it? Because we all have different ways of seeing it. We all have different ways based on our own personal experiences, our own understanding. We have different ways of framing it. So, what do we do with that when we hear Jesus say, love one another as I have loved you? What do we do with that when we start saying things like, and this was our... okay, one of the reasons this became an issue when we were talking about this is because we need a hashtag. Right? These days, you need a hashtag. I know you all know that because you're on Twitter and stuff. But you need a... That's what a hashtag is, right? It's that short little phrase that gets your attention and makes you go there. Right? And we needed one of those. So how do you say love in 3 or 4 words? Right? Unless you're John Oliver and you use like 12 all in a little... Okay. But how do you do that? And you can't. If what you're looking for is for me to be specific about how you should do it, you can't. If, on the other hand, you're looking for me to remind you how important it is to be what is already within you, then be love is an awesome hashtag. So is love does. I like that one too. Because, and the other thing I like about this particular graphic is that is it actually love does or is it does love? Does love what? Again, we're back at that question of what? Like, be more specific. And you can't. Because you are love. We are love. It's the other stuff that we put on it that changes it, that turns it into a specific thing. It's the negative stuff that we put on it that turns it into something harder to understand. Because we kind of, we know what it isn't. So what is it? What is it? Well, it's all those things. It's all those, love one another as I have shown you to love. The way you live is love. Sure, okay. We can write down specific steps and things you can do. Go and care for people. Support people who need your help. Help people cross the street, shovel their walks. We do that every year. Angels Among Us is a perfect example of that. Random acts of kindness is a perfect example of that. It might as well be random acts of love because kindness is about showing love, isn't it? Okay, then you want to ask, to whom? Everybody is the answer. Everybody. Oh, I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure that, there are people who, No, everybody. See, this is where Jesus saying, as I have shown you, is so important. Is you can go back through then all those stories of Jesus and all the ways in which Jesus showed us how to love. And one of those ways is you should love your enemy. You should love the people who are hardest to love. In fact, you should love those people the most. Because one of the reasons they're hardest to love is because they can't find it. And if you give them some, they found it. They found a little. They might try and push you away. They might not want your love, it seems. And yet, yes, they do. That's why they're the hardest. I've often said when we here in Bashaw, we put this sign up outside. Well, somebody put this sign up outside. I don't know why, probably because I said something about it. But there's a sign out here that says, we'll take anybody. And I've said, I wish every church had a sign that said, we'll take anybody, because we should. That's who we are. We should. And I've often said that the hardest people to say, please come in, you are welcome here, to, aren't people that, those sort of traditional, people who are of different faiths or different cultures or anything like that at all. It's the people who don't like that that's the hardest to deal with. It's the people who aren't moved by that idea that we should love everyone. That's the hardest people to love. because they haven't found it yet. So we should give them more. Don't you think? We should give them more love. Love isn't a specific set of steps that you follow. It's you. It's how you live. It's how you share who you are. It's living a life that embraces the world around you and creates life in the world around you and in you. That's the thing about, and that's why it's a piece of this Christmas thing. Christina Rossetti wrote a great, we sometimes sing it, it might even be in a hymn book, a great poem that begins, "Love came down at Christmas." Jesus is love. Christmas is about love coming into the world. Wait, let's clarify that. Just like John says at the beginning of the gospel, right? The Word, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and then the Word became flesh and came among us. We're not talking about specific words, like language. We're talking about something completely different. It's the logos is the Greek word. And it means the animating spirit of life. It means life itself. Love came down at Christmas. The spirit of life, the sort of universal thing that connects us. That's what we celebrate at Christmas. So, every other day of the year, can we take that with us somewhere? Can we take that spirit, that life-giving spirit that connects us all, and share it? See, that's the thing. When we start saying, well, love is very specific, it's a very specific thing, we're actually breaking the connections. Because the connection is to everything. We're to everybody. And when we start defining it and saying, well, it's this, but it's not that, we're not allowing for those connections to happen, those things to occur that allow us to connect with each other. Because love is everything. Love is in everything. It's no wonder we had that conversation about how do you say, what do you mean by love? Because it is everything. It is. It is everything. Perhaps the real question is, how do you express it? And that was how did you phrase that question with the kids? What does it look like? What does love look like? What does love look like to you? By the way, there's 2 follow-ups to that video, and you can find them on our Facebook page, I think, right? The 6 Ways from Sunday Facebook page. There's 2 follow-up videos to that. Same question asked of teenagers. You got to watch that. And adults. And the answers become very interesting. And really good, by the way. They're really good answers. So there's some really, particularly amongst the teenagers, you have to watch them. So please do. The real question isn't what is love. The real question is, how do we express it? What does it look like to you? And here we're back at Jesus saying, love one another as I have loved you. Look at those stories of Jesus. Wonder about whether or not somebody challenged Jesus on that. Think about those stories where Jesus healed people and essentially restored them to their place in society. Why? Why is that a thing? Well, because the very fact that there was something wrong with them disconnected them from society. We pushed them away. And what does Jesus say? No. Bring them back. Welcome them in. Show them some love. Whether or not there was a miracle, like a physical healing miracle, or not, it doesn't matter. because we should love. Whatever somebody looks like, whatever they sound like, whatever they think, whatever they believe, love them. That reconnects us. It's the thing that keeps us connected. What does love look like to you? Each of us is going to have a different answer to that question. And there's no sort of universal answer other than, well, love is love, because it is. But each of us has going to have a specific way of answering that question because we've had different experiences. Maybe we need to look at those experiences and consider how they have formed what we think love looks like. Maybe we need to look at those experiences and wonder whether or not they're the kind of experiences that, say, Jesus had, that formed how Jesus would express love. And if they're not, maybe we want to reconsider how we think that love thing works. Maybe we want to go back to remembering, or trying to remember, what it feels like to be loved. Maybe we want to remember that love is the thing that connects us, not separates us. Maybe we want to consider that what love looks like to us may not be exactly what it looks like to somebody else at first. But at the heart of it, maybe it is. Because that's where we need to go with this. We need to get to what's at the heart of it. That's not a pun in any way. I'm just saying what's at the heart, the core, the center of it. What is at the center of love? Life, I think. Don't you? Isn't love life-giving? We use all sorts of different, and again, here's another issue with it when we were talking about this, is we use all sorts of different language. Each of us uses different words and different ways of expressing things in language. Love's not a language of words. It's something else. And it's universal. But it's something else. It's something deeper. It's something that connects us. It's something that is, I don't know how many times I can say this, life-giving. That's what it does. Connects us and gives us life.